The origin and mythos of Thor. Thor was destroying giants with his hammer as he rode over the sky in his goat-drawn chariot. Thor was a jovial and courageous warrior. He was unconquerable, indefatigable, and unwavering in his resolve. If Thor had been immortal, every Viking would have wanted to clink ale horns with him during the celebrations. He was the ideal that all Vikings desired to become like. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new video on the channel. Today, we are going to talk about the origin and mythos of Thor. Before we get started with the video, don't forget to smash the like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get started. In Iceland, more than a quarter of the founding population had some form of Thor's name in theirs. That is, Thorkill, Thorgest, etc., which is obvious evidence of both Thor's popularity and his prominence as a role model. Amulets with the image of Mjolnir, also known as lightning, Thor's powerful hammer, have been found in Viking burials and other Norse archaeological sites in large numbers. Even when they converted to Christianity, the Norsemen continued to wear these amulets in the shape of hammers, which suggests that Thor's function as a protector and heroic influence had not faded. Naturally, he continues to play that function in our culture in the modern day. The Teeth Bearer and the Teeth Grinder were the names of the two flying goats that dragged Thor's chariot. In a similar fashion, his father Odin was said to have had a chariot that was carried by a flying horse with 8 legs named Sleipnir. Many people are under the impression that Odin and Thor were the original models for Santa. It is common knowledge that the word Thursday was derived from the Old Norse word Orstigur, which literally translates to Thor's day. Thor was the most powerful god ever. Even though some of the giants were formidable, the fact that the deity with the red beard had to overcome such formidable opponents made the experience all the more rewarding for him. His hammer, Mjolnir, had the power to level mountains, and he used it to smite the giants' skulls when they attacked Asgard and Midgard, the realms of the gods and the planet of humanity, respectively. The fact that the heavens were flashing and they could feel the rumble of the storm made it clear to the Vikings that Thor was battling for them once more. Mjolnir, however, was more than just a weapon. In order to hallow, also known as restore, make holy, or bless, Thor made use of Mjolnir. Thor was even able to bring some things back to life with the power of Mjolnir. Thor's protective and sanctifying qualities made him a popular deity to call upon during important life events such as weddings, births, and other special rites. It is common to refer to Thor as the God of Thunder. This is not incorrect, as the meaning of his name is thunder, but his function was far more significant than that. As the deity of the sky and weather, Thor was in the same pantheon as Zeus and Marduk. Thor was the offspring of Odin and Fjorgyn, also known by the name Jord and variously referred to by other names. In some of the stories that have been passed down, Fjorgyn is described as a giantess, yet she appears to be related to the ancient Indo-European tradition of the Great Mother Earth goddess. The fact that Thor was the most prominent male deity honored during Yule, which is a celebration of the winter solstice that has extremely ancient roots, strengthens this relationship. They claim that men marry women who are similar to their mothers. And as it is said that men marry women who are similar to their mothers, Thor married Sif, who also appears to be a goddess of the land and agriculture. Sif is one of the few mellow and nice girl gods found in Norse mythology. Another reason for Thor's popularity and significance in the lives of common Vikings can be found in this particular instance. It was possible for the Vikings to gain significant advantages over their foes and competitors at sea if the weather was favorable, but it was also possible for the weather to be lethal. Many of the Vikings settled down as farmers upon their return to their homelands in Scandinavia or the colonies they had founded. The relationship between the climate and the fertility of the land, which is frequently interpreted as a marriage in Indo-European religions, is the fundamental factor that determines whether or not there will be a feast or a famine. Therefore, Thor did not merely save humanity from the giants, which are destructive cosmic and natural forces, but also rewarded them with safety at sea and bounty on land as a result of his efforts and favor over them. It is not surprising that he was highly regarded, revered, and adored by many people. Thor never shied away from problems that were beyond his ability, despite the fact that he possessed a great deal of strength. In the stories, we witnessed him repeatedly venturing deep into the territory of the monster while wearing nothing but a disguise for safety. In one of the myths, he challenges the Jormungand, also known as the world-coiling serpent, to a fight by paddling out into the ocean in a boat that belonged to a giant and traveling deeper into the ocean than anybody else had ever gone before. It's likely that this narrative, or the concepts that inspired it, was one of the reasons why earlier maps would sometimes have the phrase "here be dragons" is scrawled around the shores of the known world. If so, this would be a plausible explanation. The narrative does not make it clear whether Thor was already aware that this particular monster was destined to be the cause of his demise. However, the conflict was so terrifying that the giant who accompanied Thor severed the god's fishing line, which caused Jormungand to retreat back into the depths of the ocean. The narrative does not make it clear whether Thor was already aware that this particular monster was destined to be the cause of his demise. Thor was so outraged that the giant had intervened that he murdered the poor individual, and then rushed off to his home in a rage after he had finished his bloody business. The Vikings had a complete intolerance for what they considered to be displays of weakness or fear, in addition to the values of bravery and exploration that are demonstrated in this example. Thor's character exhibits characteristics that are influenced by Viking culture in many ways. Thor was not only strong in his mind, but also possessed a great degree of physical toughness. The Vikings placed a significant emphasis on one's physical abilities. Thor was without a doubt an alpha male, but he was also a team player. This is an additional quality that was very required for Vikings, as their success or failure hinged on their ability to work together on the ship and in the shield wall. Thor was a team player. He had a profound sense of fellowship with the other gods that inhabited the cosmos alongside him. He had a short fuse, and the bulk of the stories he recounted ended with him breaking the skull of the monster who had infuriated him, but in general, he was optimistic and forgiving. His stories also concluded with him destroying the head of the monster who had enraged him. Despite the fact that he had children outside of his marriage, which was further evidence of his hot-blooded and aggressive disposition, Thor was essentially a family man and was highly protective of his wife. Thor was the deity on whom the vast majority of the other gods relied and constantly consulted. And this was the reputation that any honorable Viking would hope to achieve among his contemporary. The majority of these traits are still considered valuable in today's society, and the archetype of Thor may be seen in the action heroes of contemporary books and movies. What is entirely absent in Thor is any form of self-doubt or any of the reluctant hero, characteristics that are so prevalent in our society. Thor's morals on who he killed and why are also those of a Viking deity, which is not something that the majority of contemporary people would be happy with in the heroes they admire. There's a good chance that every Norse man and woman would have committed each of Thor's tales to memory, and they would have been able to see themselves reflected in these tales. This exaltation of taking action, of going beyond borders, and of achieving glory in battle were significant factors that led to the growth of the Vikings as well as their overall success. Models are only models, after all, and there were surely a lot of Vikings who were the complete opposite of Thor. However, we may gain insight into how the Vikings viewed themselves and what they aspired to become by reading the tales of their most revered god. That's a wrap on the video. I hope you liked it. If you did, let me know by giving it a thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.